So a tragic death happened this morning. My blush shattered when I dropped it. Anyway, today we're on our way to Milford Sound, and the weather gods actually lined up because we were hoping for this kind of like gloomy, rainy, misty weather, because that is what you want when you're going to Milford Sound. You want all the waterfalls to be full speed ahead. Otherwise, where's the water gonna come from? Just look at these tiny waterfalls. When I saw this, my jaw was to the floor because this was so exciting for me. I had seen endless amounts of TikToks. There was this one TikTok where this girl was like driving and then she would like slow-mo right when she would like turn on the road, and all these mountains have all these waterfalls like coming down, and I was like, I have to see that in real life. And here I am seeing it in real life. Here I just wanted to show you this one-way tunnel that I've never come across in Australia, but it happens in New Zealand, and I don't know if it happens in other countries, but it had like a traffic light at one end and at the other end, and it would like tell you to go when the other one was red. Never seen that before, so I wanted to film that for you guys. And the process to get to this cruise is quite easy. So you park, and then I think the walk to like the actual cruise terminal is maybe around less than 10 minutes. And then at the cruise terminal, you can then pick up your tickets and then go. If you don't book online, you can also buy tickets in Queenstown. They have a lot of travel agents where you can just buy the ticket on the spot if they have spots available. The ship itself is actually quite big, but you can book ships that have less people, like less capacity. Smaller ships can actually get closer to the waterfalls itself. So I guess do your research and see how close you want to get to the waterfall. But overall, I like booked a cruise that was quite popular, so it was a little bit bigger. You do get like hot beverages on the cruise, and just look at the view. You could stand outside if you wanted to. I do suggest bringing a raincoat because you will be rained on. But overall, it's 100% worth it, because honestly, like, where in the world would you be able to see something like this? I guess other fjords will have this as well, but New Zealand is quite close to Australia, and I didn't expect it to be so beautiful. So highly recommend this experience. And then the weather, of course, started clearing up, and then we got like pockets of sunlight coming through the clouds and onto the mountains, and it was just so majestic. We were on our way back and we decided to stop at a pit stop, and we discovered that this Kia bird likes to like sit on cars or sit by car windows because they get fed a lot, and then they've just learnt to like wait and be fed there. Of course, Julian's trying to get bitten by the bird. And that was it for the day. We are headed back to the Airbnb. Tomorrow we are doing something else.
Today we're conquering Roy's Peak, and we're gonna go to the supermarket first. Well, yeah, we'll see. But here we are. This is us for Roy's Peak. What time is it? It's like 8:40 right now. We'll see how long it takes for us to get up there.
Bye. So we decided to do Roy's Peak at the end of our trip, and by the end of our trip we were quite tired, so we were definitely considering whether we actually wanted to do this for the sunrise hike or not. And I think both of us were just sitting in bed trying to figure out whether we actually wanted to wake up at 3 a.m. for this hike or not, and we both were like, nah, I think it's better off that we do this in the daytime, because the downside of doing it for the sunrise hike is that for the majority of the uphill you are in pitch blackness, and I wanted to be able to see the views. And depending on when you actually do this hike, like what season, it could be quite icy on the way up as well. And if you're doing that in complete darkness, it's, I think, a slip hazard depending on if you bring crampons. There are cows that live on this mountain, so if you do want to do it in the dark, you have to like look at where you're going, otherwise you will step in cow poo. Overall, this hike is very challenging in my opinion. the incline is quite steep and there is no stopping. You are inclined the entire way. And so that also makes the decline quite hard because, well, it depends on how like sturdy your knees and ankles are, but it is quite steep on the way down. And in my opinion, I feel like the downward was much harder than the incline. Overall, very worth it for these views because it's absolutely stunning. We did it!
We just finished.
This is us at the end of Roy's Peak. It's high.
We made it to the car park.
Knees hurt.
We did it! Hello. While I'm eating my mandarin, I'm gonna debrief about Roy's Peak that we just did. So there are 3 gate checkpoints essentially before the snow hits on the peak, and then the snow at the peak also begins to melt at around 2 p.m. I think. Okay, so we started at 9, got to the peak at 12:30, so 3.5 hours, with lots of breaks in between. There's lots of switchbacks.
I'm just booking tonight's thing, so don't mind me. That's why I'm looking at my phone.
Yeah, lots of switchbacks, lots of cow shit, and it was quite cold once you hit the snow. I think the wind hits you, it's quite icy, so I think it's good to bring some gloves, and if you get head cold, bring like a beanie or something like that. But it's quite steep all the way, just all the way.
There's
no stopping. There's no
Not really.
stopping on the steepness. And it was a good hike, but like the views are worth it, I would say, at the top. And then like once you start going down, your knees start really hurting. And then the only view down is your car park. I mean, like, you can see the rest of it, right? But like the goal at the end is the car park, right? Because that's where your car is parked. So the car park doesn't get any bigger, or like 50% of the way. It's the exact same size until you've hit like 2/3 down the way. The car park then starts getting a bit bigger, and even 2/3 down the way, it's still so far away. I cannot comprehend, how do we get up so high? I couldn't understand. Like, how did I do that?
You did it.
Yeah, it's great. There were 2 toilets along the way, one at the car park and then one at the summit. No, sorry, one at the lookout point. So it's a good hike. I would recommend doing it during the day. Not that I've done it at sunrise or sunset. I did see a few people attempting or starting it at around, when we left, at around 3 p.m. So I assumed that they wanted to do it for sunset and then start walking down during nighttime. But I would not recommend going during sunset because walking down in the dark is kind of scary. I think walking up in the dark is okay, but walking down in the dark, it's easier to slip and fall on like icy and muddy in the dark compared to
walking uphill in the dark is better. But I would recommend the hike during the day because then you can see the views up the mountain during the day, and then like when you're coming down at like 3 p.m. you can also see the views when you're walking down as well. Oh, sun's on my face. So yeah, I would rate that hike like a difficulty would be like a 9.
As difficult as it gets.
A 9 out of 10 in difficulty. I think going upstairs will be quite difficult. If it's a completely upstairs, that'll be difficult because that's really hard on your glutes and your knees. But this is an incline, which is a bit different. I think difficulty is like a 9 out of 10. And then like whether the views were worth it or not would be like a 8 out of 10 good view hike. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I thought the views were spectacular. I thought the views were probably the best out of any hike I've done in New Zealand, which is only like 3. But yeah, I guess the Queenstown view was different. It was like more, Queenstown view was more 360, but this one was very pretty in the 180 degrees that you had.
Yeah. That's our debrief. Thank you for listening to our TED Talk. So after this, we just went to the Wanaka Lake 3 because there was nothing for us planned. And then, of course, we had some Ferg Burger. It's great. I think we had Ferg Burger like 2 or 3 times on this trip because we wanted to try the different burgers. And I think it's worth visiting once because the burgers are quite big, but maybe not again because it gets quite sickly, I think. But I do recommend going to Ferg Gelato. Mrs. Ferg Gelato slaps, honestly. We're at the Mount Cook Alpine Salmon and it's super windy.
Show view? Yeah,
Okay, you can see the people walking. You can see how windy it is. Okay. And we got this at the High Country Salmon place. Show them the packaging. We got this at a different salmon place, and then this is oak smoked salmon. And then at this Mount Cook Alpine Salmon place, we got some sashimi salmon, which was really good actually, quite high quality sashimi. And now we're going to try this on camera. Oh, we should have kept our
forks, chopsticks.
Can you hold the middle and break it off using the plastic?
No, just
No. Put it back in the packaging. Yeah, hold the middle. More. Pretty good. I think I do prefer sashimi though. What do you think?
Yeah, but it tastes even more umami, I guess. More savory because they've smoked and cooked it somewhat. But the sashimi one is, yeah, the meat texture is just so good because it's fresh.
I think this would have been good with bagels.
It's almost like what bacon adds to like burgers, but like a fish version.
Yeah.
Because it's like condensed taste.
Yeah. At the High Country Salmon place, they have a salmon farm, and then if you want to like take this smoked salmon away, they'll give you like a bag of ice as well with it to like have a picnic somewhere else. So that's great. Okay.
Super flavorful.
Bye. Did you see how the weather just got progressively worse? Because look at my eyes. I was not happy that it began to rain as soon as we pulled into Mount Cook. Now I know this Mount Cook walk, like the second swing bridge is closed, but we hoped to walk to the first one. But then when we got to the car park, it was like sprinkling a little bit, and then we were like, oh, let's just do it. And so we ended up walking a bit, and then the rain just started to get worse, and so it ended up like pouring a little bit. And you can see here I am fully covered up, and it was really cold as well because it started hailing. I typically don't like it if we quit like a hike midway, so then we ended up just walking the entire way and just like braving the cold and the rain because we're already here, right? We might as well do it. So yeah, here is the first bridge. You can go across the bridge and then walk a little bit further, but that's the end of the track really. Overall, I've already decided at the beginning of this trip that I really wanted to see New Zealand in the summer. So this is definitely a hike that I would do again. And we didn't get to do Sealy Tarns this time, but I'm so keen to do that next time.
It's hailing.
To be honest, I have no idea what I'm pointing at here, but if someone could comment down below what I'm pointing at, let me know. We were completely soaked at the end of this. My waterproof jacket is no longer waterproof because it's been through too many washes, and Julian's jacket was also not waterproof, so we were completely drenched. So we had to like dry off our jackets in the car. That was pretty much all the video footage that I got from that day, but that night we did the dark sky project, which I highly recommend doing. You can choose between different activities that you want to do, but overall the experience is great. The people there are super knowledgeable, and if you pick an experience that requires there to be like no clouds in the sky, and it does end up being cloudy, you can choose a different activity and then they'll refund you the difference. So the next day we conquered another summit. So we decided to do John Summit. It's Mount John. If someone actually wants to tag John Summit and let him know that there's a mountain named after him in New Zealand and that he should actually summit Mount John so that he could be John Summit on John Summit, that would be funny. Lucky it was sunny at the top because it started raining when we got back down to the bottom. So that was good timing. And really sorry, I have no idea where this is, but it is a TikTok raved about food truck that sells like fish and chips, and I really wanted to try them. So I got the like squid tentacles with some chips, and you can sit in the car and eat it, or you can go outside and sit and enjoy the view, but it was quite cold, so I wanted to sit in the car. Looks like we're back at another bakery. So we are at Fairley Bakery. I think they're also quite famous for their pies, and we had to try a New Zealand pie. So we asked them what the most famous one was, and I think a crowd fave is this like creamy seafood salmon one that we're trying here.
Salmon and bacon.
Was it like pre-planned or was it sort of
Pre-planned for most of them. There's a few late later on.
I think I need a bit more filling.
And then ones that could dry out.
So I just got the outside. But yeah, really nice. The flake is good. It's like creamy a bit, not too creamy.
I really enjoy seeing parents and stuff as well. Like parents were out for drinks tonight. Parents love it as well.
They do, and then Charlotte had I can't wait to go and see so-and-so's mum.
Yeah.
So and they're like,
You don't see them for like any of them.
Salmon
say like parents actually just love hosting people.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my kids. That's great. And did some stuff, bring in nice stuff, yeah.
And after this, we did one more viewpoint, and that's all the footage that I have on my camera. So thank you very much for joining along on this entire journey. I know there's been a lot of vlogs, but I had a lot of footage to go through, and honestly, it's just for the memory. So thanks for watching. I have a bunch of China vlogs to edit, so stay tuned for more vlogs. Bye!